Welcome to Techquest Learning Point. I am here to bring you a new episode of tutorial Programming C# for Beginners. I am starting the 12th episode diving into the new topic of connectivity with database. This installment marks the 12th episode in the Programming C# for Beginners tutorial series. It's a complete C# programming course which enables any learner to make their basic foundation on C# programming, where 11 number of episode has already been discussed with lab in Visual Studio 2022 environment. SqlConnection. Understanding SqlConnection is crucial for database operations in C#, as it is the foundation for any interaction with a SQL Server database. In this video session, I will cover how to insert, retrieve, update, and delete data in a table in MS SQL Server. I will provide examples to clarify the concepts of using Visual Studio 2022. The SqlConnection class is a fundamental component used in C# to establish and manage connections to a database. It provides the necessary functionality to connect to a data source, execute commands, and manage transactions. SqlConnection is a class in the system.data.sql client namespace in C#. It is primarily used to establish a connection to a SQL Server database. Let's provide a summary of its methods, properties, and events. Properties of SqlConnection. The properties of SqlConnection manage connection details like the connection string, timeout, database, and state. Connection string gets or sets the connection string used by the SqlConnection to connect to the database. This string contains information such as database server name, database name, user credentials, and other connection settings. Connection timeout gets the time in seconds to wait for a connection to the server before terminating the attempt and generating an error. Database gets the name of the current database or the database to connect to. Data source gets the name of the SQL Server instance to which the connection is made. State gets the current state of the connection, as for example, open, closed, connecting. Client connection ID gets the connection identifier associated with the connection. Methods of SqlConnection. The method of SqlConnection control the connection life cycle, open, close, dispose, and allow you to manage some transactions and commands associated with the connection. Open opens the database connection with the settings specified by the connection string. If the connection is already open, this method will throw an exception. Close the connection to the database. This method does not dispose the connection. You can call open again afterward. Dispose releases all resources used by the SqlConnection. This is generally called when you are alone with the instance and is often used in conjunction with the using statement. Change database, string database name. Changes the current database for an open connection. Begin transaction starts a database transaction. This allows a series of operations to be treated as a single unit of work. create command creates and returns a SQL command object associated with the SQL connection. Events of SQL connection. The event of SQL connection provide notifications about changes to the connection state, enabling better resource management and monitoring. State change occurs when the state of the connection changes, as per example from close to open. This is useful for monitoring the connection's status throughout its life cycle. Connection string. To connect to a Microsoft SQL Server database using a connection string in C#, we will typically use the SQL connection class from the system.data.sql client namespace. Now I will provide a full guide on how to do this along with examples for insert, retrieve, update and delete operations in a C# console application. Now I want to demonstrate how to insert, retrieve, update and delete data in MS SQL Server using SqlConnection class. More specifically, I will insert employee name and designation into the table TBL employee in database DB attendance. Then I need to retrieve, change and delete employees. First of all, we need to create database DB attendance and the table TBL employee. Let's open Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Click on Start. You will see the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio if it is previously installed on your computer. Select SQL Server Management Studio has been opened. Type your password. The databases contained all the database. Now I want to create a new database named DB attendance. You need to select the location where you want to save the database file .mdf file. Database DB attendance is created. Now I want to create tables. Each identity property will be yes. EMP ID is created automatically one by one. Table name is TBL employee. Table is created. column name employee ID, data type integer, ID is created automatically, full name, data type varchar 50, length 50, and designation varchar 50. Now I want to add some data. Alice is added here, Alice and designation manager. Employee ID 1 is automatically created. Database DB attendance with the table TBL employee is created. In order to retrieve the employee name and designation, I will write some code. Here is the method to save the data into TBL employee table. The insert method with the parameter name and designation insert the data into the table TBL employee. Let's write the code for the method insert data. Using SqlConnection class, we want to create a connemp connection using the myCon connection string. Here myCon string is the connection string. We need to define the myCon string connection string. Okay, let's declare the myCon string connection string. Here a connection string is defined. In order to establish the connection with database, all the required information such as server name, database name, user ID and a password, all info are assigned to a string variable myConnection string. myCon string is the name of a variable string data type. Some information is assigned to this variable which will be used to connect with the database. This is the SQL statement. By means of this statement, we can insert the data into the SQL Server database into a table. Here, insert into TBL employee, full name, designation. That means in the table TBL employee, full name and designation value will be inserted by using this query. This query is assigned to the myQuery variable. Here, a SQL command cmd-emp is created by using the myQuery and the connection. Let's run the program to check the output. Enter the employee name, John, designation, executive. Let's check the database whether the data is inserted or not. John executive data is saved to table employee. Okay, now I want to retrieve the data from the database.